Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I want to do, or rather to show you guys my everyday makeup look. This is basically, if you meet me on the streets of Nairobi or anywhere out of my house, this is basically the makeup look you will find me in. It's easy. It takes me between 10 to 15 minutes because of course I don't want to spend half an hour to 1 hour in the mirror. It's really simple, and I am going to try and go step by step, just in case you're a beginner, or even if you're not, I'll just try and explain a few things that I am using, just so that you guys can get an idea of what you can incorporate into your own everyday makeup routine. So I have a feeling this might be a long video, so I don't want to ramble in with a long intro. And yes, I am wearing a wig cap with no wig on top. So let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing is always brows. Now I don't want to spend too much time on this because I already have a really in-depth tutorial on how I fill in my brows. And I think if you really want just to know step by step how to do them, then you can go ahead and watch that. I'm going to link it down below or even somewhere here on the screen. So for now, I'm just going to fast forward this part. So once the eyebrows are filled in, I usually actually this is my favorite part of eyebrows, is cleaning them up. Now I am using my Elegant Pro Concealer and I'm just using it as it is, mostly because my angled brush is upstairs and I'm just too lazy to go and get it. So this will do. You have to be really precise when you're doing this because you're trying to clean up any mistakes you've made and just really define your brows. So this is something you really need to take your time with. So now I'm just blending out that concealer because you don't want a harsh line. So you need to blend it out nicely, and I'm just using my finger to do that. Okay, so now that the eyebrows are done, the next thing I like to move to is skin. So for every day, I just focus on a flawless skin. I don't like to overdo my makeup every day. So the first thing I always begin with is a primer, and I've gotten a few people asking me what a primer is for. A primer is just like a good base for your foundation, and there are different kinds of primers depending on your skin type or depending on what you want to achieve. So they're mattifying primers or oil control primers in case you have oily skin and you don't want to shine throughout the day. Then the dewy primers just for dry skin, and if you just want to have a glow. There are hydrating primers also for drier skin types. There are lots of primers, and a primer is also just kind of like a barrier between your skin and the foundation. So it just gives a good base. There are also smoothing primers, pore minimizing primers. There's so many primers depending on what you need your primer for. So now it's time for foundation. I will be using the Covergirl Queen All Day Flawless 3-in-1 foundation. Foundation is definitely like the main part of my routine, so I really take my time on this part. I suggest if you're a beginner and you're starting out in makeup, maybe the first thing you need to do is master how to do your brows and foundation, and that is as good a look as any. Now for every day, I usually go in with one layer of foundation, and then I kind of go back in with a bit of some extra foundation just on areas where I like a bit more extra coverage, which is basically all the areas where I have like blemishes, which is my cheeks and my forehead from time to time. So that is my layer of foundation. As much as I love the coverage of this foundation, it does not blend out well. So I always like to go in with my damp sponge just to make sure it blends in nicely. I feel like this is actually a really good technique just to kind of make your foundation seem a little bit more natural. You go in with a damp sponge and it will soak up even any excess product on your face. So that has definitely toned down the foundation, and now we can go ahead and move on to concealing. Now on an everyday basis, all I do is conceal under my eyes, just because I have dark circles and sometimes they can still peep through the foundation, and also just because concealing under my eyes makes me look a little bit more awake, more vibrant. So I am going in with the Black Opal Total Coverage. This is actually a concealing foundation, so I'm going to be putting this under my eyes. This shade is slightly lighter than my skin tone. For everyday looks, I don't like overdoing, you know, the concealer under my eyes, so I just go one shade lighter. For glam days, then I can go 2 shades or 3 shades lighter. Okay, 2 shades, but for every day, just 1 shade. And then after that, I am going to use my sponge here to blend that out. I'm blending out the edges of that concealer with the brush I had used to put on foundation, so there are no harsh lines in between my concealer and my foundation. Now, anytime you set or use a concealer, especially under your eyes where there tends to be a lot of creasing, it's important that you set that concealer. Now I'm using the Sacha Buttercup setting powder. If you don't have this and you just have a regular powder in your shade, you can use that and just press it into your concealer under your eyes. Now for daily, I do not bake. I kind of just use a little bit of powder and kind of press it into my skin, into that concealer, because baking gives you like a really, I don't know how to say it, I don't want to say overdone because I love baking, but it's not, let's say it's not necessary for every single day. So I just press that powder into my skin. And then of course you have to set the rest of your face just so that your foundation doesn't get shiny and oily throughout the day. So I am using the Suzie Beauty loose powder in the shade SB40. And I'm just gonna pick that up. Always tap off the excess because putting too much powder isn't the best thing. So I am just setting the rest of my face with this powder. So once I've done that, I just go over the area that I set with my Sacha Buttercup and just kind of remove or wipe off any excess powder that might have been there. And that's more or less what I do for my skin. I just like it to look natural and just more or less just fresh, I guess. And then I'm going to highlight at the end, we'll get to that. But right now, let's get into the eyes. So I usually keep it super simple on the eyes. The only thing I do is kind of contour my eyes. That's basically putting like a dark brown shade in my crease. So I'm going into my Morphe palette, and this is the brown I am going to be taking. It's just a nice brown that's going to make my crease, to deepen my crease. You don't have to have the Morphe palette, guys. You can just use any dark brown shade you have, or if you even have a sister in your house or your mom who's darker than you, you can use their powder for this. So I am just concentrating this in the crease, and I'm just using back and forth motions with my fluffy brush. So for eyeshadow, that's basically all I do on the daily. I just like a defined crease, which is it. You don't even have to do this step. And then the next thing I do is kind of just line my waterline. So I'm using the Davis thick eye pencil. I love how creamy it is, and I'm just going on and putting not a thick line, just something light, kind of, so that when I put my mascara, my lashes can really pop. I think the eyeliner makes quite a difference, and you guys will particularly see that when I use my mascara. I'm using the Maybelline Rocket Volume Express mascara. I love this mascara, and I'm just applying that on my lashes. I usually kind of blink onto my wand because I feel like my lashes are really like, the mascara really works best that way. And I like to go in with 2 coats of mascara. So that's literally all I do for the eyes. I define my crease, smack on some nice eyeliner on my waterline, and then I put on mascara. So now the next thing to do is to highlight, and before I do that, I first like to go in with my setting spray, just so that I feel like it gives the highlight more of a glow. So I'm gonna go ahead and set. I'm using the e.l.f. Makeup Mist and Set. And then I am going in with my Wet n Wild Mega Glow. This one is in Precious Petals. I love this highlight because it's quite a nice everyday kind of highlight. So I do this on my cheekbones, on the highest points of my cheekbones. And on my nose. And I also like to lightly highlight my brow bone. And my cupid's bow. So that's it for the face and the eyes. And the next thing and last thing is lips. Sometimes I just go out with just Vaseline and on my lips, or just what's this? Just lip balm. But then sometimes I put on lipsticks, and usually I just go for the more nude lipsticks. So the first thing I do is line my lips. You can use any brown lip liner you have, or if you don't have a brown lip liner like I don't, you could just use your eyebrow pencil, which is what I will be using. Now the nude lipstick I am going in with is by Suzie Beauty. Unfortunately, they don't write the names of the lipsticks on the lipstick itself, so I'm going to have to go check the box and then I'll write it on the screen somewhere. It's a really nice nude lipstick. And then I'm just going in with my finger to blend the lip liner and the lipstick together. Something I like about this lipstick is that it doesn't dry, because it's a matte lipstick, it doesn't dry quickly, so you have time to like manipulate it. And that's it. That's actually more or less my everyday makeup look. It literally, guys, it takes me 10 minutes, at most 15 minutes, but usually just 10 minutes. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope if you're a beginner, you've gotten a bit more insight and a bit more motivation, you know, on where you can get started when it comes to your everyday makeup routine. I am going to list all the products I have used for this makeup routine, as well as where I got them and their prices, down below in the description box. So if you're interested, you can go ahead and check out the description box. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.